and come on in. I missed you guys. I did not get a chance to go live over the weekend like I hoped, but good news, I did see The Woman in the Yard, so I will be doing a live to talk about that. I really enjoyed the movie. There's some things I want to unpack with you guys. So if you did watch that movie, stay tuned. It's going to be later on this week. I'm going to do a live for that. But if you are not familiar with me, my name is Aries Rose, and welcome to Aries Rose TV. Here we talk about movies, streaming shows, celebrity, pop culture, politics, basically anything that I find interesting. I bring it here so I can talk with you, the Aries crew, about it. Welcome to the show. We're going to be doing the show for the rest of the week as well. So make sure you stay tuned for some other fabulous topics that we're going to talk about. But tonight's topics are going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about Linda and Hulk Hogan and their daughter Brooke Hogan. So if you are familiar with wrestling, you'll probably recognize those names. Hulk Hogan was one of the biggest wrestlers in the world at one point in time, but definitely in its heyday, or what I believe was the heyday, in the 80s and early 90s. He was the top wrestler. So we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff going on with his family. We're going to talk a little bit about Kanye West and some comments he made about having children with Kim Kardashian. We're also going to talk about young Scooter, recently passed away. So if you are familiar with him, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And thank you so much for joining. You know the drill. If you are part of the Aries crew, leave a hashtag Aries crew in the comments. If you are a first-time watcher, the first-time watcher in the comments, I want to give you a shout out for being here. And if you have not already done so, please like the video. It helps with the algorithm. It doesn't cost you anything, and that support goes a long way. And while you're in here, go ahead and share this out to family and friends. Let them know we're on here live so we can get some more on our live tonight. Really appreciate you for that. And if you have not already done so, you can become a member of the Aries crew really easy. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, upload videos, shorts, post on the community page, all that good stuff. So we are going to go ahead and get started with our first topic. So we're going to be talking about Hulk Hogan's family. So Linda Hogan recently did a post that was pretty unusual for her. Let's see here, just a moment here. All right. So she did a post that was pretty unusual for her, and she was talking about her family. So I'm getting this off of the TMZ website here. So Linda Hogan broke down on social media, tearfully telling her followers her life's a disaster, placing much of the blame on ex-hubby Hulk Hogan. Quote, "My family's in the worst mess," Linda said on Instagram, attempting to fight back tears. Quote, "Brooke doesn't talk to us. She had twins. She got married. She didn't tell us." Linda Hogan explained, "She had a huge fight with Terry. I don't know how it reflected onto me, but she cut me out too. I haven't talked to her for 7 years, almost 8 years now." Linda says she still has a strong relationship with her son, 34-year-old Nick. He's still such a good boy. And let's see, the Hogans tied the knot in late 1983 after dating for a couple years, and that's Hulk Hogan and Linda Hogan. And they had two kids together, Brooke and Nick. And if you remember, in the early 2000s, there was also a reality show, and that was back at the time when a lot of families had a reality show, and that was Hogan Knows Best. And that show was pretty popular. I personally watched that show. Leave a 1 in the chat if you watched Hogan Knows Best. Leave a 2 if you never heard of the show in the comments. Definitely curious to see how many folks were also fans. It was a pretty good show. You got a inside look at his life. So this was after, the big years that he had with the, at the time, WWF. Now it's WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. But it was still very interesting to see a little bit about their life. And at that time, his daughter was trying to get a music career. She was a singer, so she was trying to really get that off the ground. And using the connections that she had through her father, because again, he was a very famous, well-known wrestler and had crossed over into pop culture. So that just made sense to try to utilize the options you had available to you. And she had moderate success. She didn't really blow up as a singer, but she did have some moderate success. But unfortunately, like many families that end up doing reality shows, that family ended up going through some public challenges. And part of that was when I believe it was Linda, filed for divorce from Hulk Hogan. So that was a public situation that they all had to go through. And for a little while, Linda was dating the friend of her son, Nick, who was considerably younger than her. So there was a little bit of controversy behind that as well. To my knowledge, Linda has not remarried, but Hulk Hogan is on to his third wife at this point in time from his time of divorcing Linda. And their son, Nick, did have a very public car accident. He was driving intoxicated and he had a friend in the vehicle, and that friend ended up becoming, I believe, a quadriplegic. He cannot walk, cannot talk, and he was previously in the military. I'm not sure which branch of the military, but his life was completely changed from being in that vehicle accident with Nick Hogan. And if you recall, there were some jailhouse calls between Nick and Hulk Hogan, whose real name is Terry Bollea. There were some calls between them that were released, and they were saying some pretty negative things about the person who was hurt in that vehicle accident. And it didn't really sound like Nick was taking responsibility for his role in causing that accident on there. So, that kind of turned people not to look at the family in the same way, because really before that, Hulk Hogan had a pretty pristine image with the world and how we saw him and how he was presented in wrestling. So kind of hearing those jailhouse calls didn't really paint them in a really good light. And then Hulk Hogan also had that situation with a adult tape that was filmed without his knowledge, that was released on Gawker, and he didn't end up suing them, but there was a conversation he had with the woman that he was in bed with, and he was making some pretty racist comments. We'll just call it what it was. And that also kind of left a bad taste in the public for him as well. So he did temporarily lose his, I want to say, Hall of Fame in the World Wrestling Entertainment. And he did end up getting that back. And, things have gotten a little bit better since then. But he was recently booed at the debut of the Raw on Netflix. So, he may not be in everybody's good graces anymore, but there are some people that do still really like Hogan and are interested in things that he does. So, he's definitely still got some clout out here, and he will always be a legend for what he's accomplished in wrestling and for helping put that through to the popular, pop culture, really. And I'm going to take a quick moment here to look at some comments. Anna Lynn, hello, how are you? Alana, thank you so much for being here. Ben S, thank you for being here. And Savage TY, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. And so Brooke Hogan ended up hearing about the comments that her mom made, specifically talking about her not being in touch with them. And she did have a response back. So let's kind of go back into that response. And I'm getting this again from the TMZ website here. So Brooke Hogan came out swinging in a statement of her own after her mother, Linda Hogan, tearfully called the Hogan family the worst mess and claimed she has no idea why her daughter won't speak to her. So Brooke wrote a lengthy post on her Instagram Thursday night, explaining that she had and this was a little bit back, explaining that she had no contact with her mom after being extremely verbally and mentally abused since her childhood. This is according to Brooke, which she said sometimes turned physical. She says her mother's behavior in the video she posted Thursday is mild compared to what she's witnessed for the greater portion of her life. She further explaining her frustration. The singer and actress says she's been asked to defend poor behavior to the public and has done so out of love, only to learn she was misinformed, manipulated, and lied to. She adds, still to this day, I face constant ridicule for those poor decisions of others. I've watched others benefit financially off my suffering and embarrassment caused by their selfish behavior. Brooke goes on to say she forgave her family time and time again for their nasty behavior, which caused massive blows to her personal and professional life because she wanted to see the good in her family. And because her music career never really took off, I'm assuming in her professional life she's referring to, she wasn't really able to get very far with that because a lot of the family stuff ended up impacting her ability to be able to prosper, at least at that particular point in time. And she knows she's repeatedly held out her hand to them only to have them pull me into darkness with them. I've set boundaries that were not respected, and at this point, I can truly do no more. She clarifies this decision was made purely on how they have each dealt with me directly my entire life. In addition to airing out her dirty laundry with Brooke, Linda broke down in tears Thursday over her failed marriage to Hulk, saying she's still sad about their split 20 years later. She also called him a complete liar and ex-addict. And meanwhile, she has praises for her son, Nick, who she's called such a good boy. So, very interesting how different recollections are made depending on where you fall in the story. Uh, Brooke did have a very lengthy post that she responded back to her mom on some of the things that she said on there. That was posted on her Instagram here. And then after Brooke made a response back to that, then Linda felt she needed to say something back, and she is calling her daughter a narcissist. So the back and forth continues. Brooke Hogan just clapped back at her mother Linda's earlier statement, calling her a narcissist. Brooke Hogan posted a detailed, if reluctant, response on Instagram saying she never asked for any of this and was trying to avoid the whole thing, calling out false claims made by her mom. Specifically, she addresses Linda's timeline of their relationship, pointing out that she has a photo, which she also posted, of her mother meeting Brooke's husband, which conflicts with Linda saying Brooke hasn't spoken to her in years. And she claims Linda deleted something about having never met my husband, and she doesn't even know what his name is. Receipts are crucial. Linda Hogan, Hulk's ex-wife, is denying claims she was ever physically or verbally abusive to daughter Brooke, instead calling Brooke a narcissist who attacked her. And let's read this quote here from Linda. It's a rather lengthy one here. And from Linda Hogan, quote, seems narcissism runs deep in this family. Brooke is a narcissist just like her dad, going out, spewing lies to everyone, and I'm supposed to defend my truth against that. I'm not about to do that. It seems to me that she doesn't want the truth being revealed to her new husband and his family about who she was and things in her past. I think I spanked Brooke. Once, yeah, I called her a couple of names and by no means ever treated her the way she's painting it. They had cell phones. She could have posted horrible things about me back when all of this was supposedly happening, but nothing she didn't because nothing was happening. But when she took her dad's side after the divorce and wrote the Wonderful Mom song and went to all the tabloids because Terry was using her as a tool, her memory's completely skewed about the treatment that she received growing up in our household. And you can talk to anyone. You can ask anybody. You can ask Terry that none of the stuff ever happened. It's her angle to keep her family away from her now, revealing she used to be after drinking a half a bottle of vodka. She was so drunk she broke my collarbone and cut my lip and insisted everyone take her to the hospital because she was poisoned and she wasn't. She was just drunk. There were many stories like that. I'm not going to go on. I'm not going to defend myself against these ridiculous allegations. I'll do that in court if she keeps it up. Very sad. It's just terrible to have them arguing publicly like this in front of everyone. It's, really something that should be handled behind closed doors. And I hope as a family, they're all able to come to a resolution and come together. It's it's important because you never really know how long anybody has on this earth here that they're able to make amends and come to some kind of understanding. Because it sounds like Linda wants to be in her life, but I also understand from Brooke's perspective that if it's not healthy, that she has to have some boundaries and make some choices that may end up not involving them being in her life as an active part. But definitely let me know your thoughts. Do you think that children should maintain a relationship with their parents regardless, or if it wasn't healthy or toxic, it's okay to step away? I'm very curious to hear what you think about it. Let's take a few moments for comments here. Your girl Bentley, thank you so much for the compliments on the earrings and the hair. Appreciate you. Daryl Berry Sports Highlights. Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if you have not already done so, please like the video, share this out with family and friends. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you have already been on this long, why don't you just go ahead and join the Aries crew? We'd love to have you here. Just hit that subscription button. We're trying to reach 1,800 subscribers by the summer. So your support is greatly appreciated for us to reach that goal. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, upload videos, post shorts, and post on the community page. Love to hear from you. And now we're going to go on into our next story here. So we're going to talk about Kanye West. So Kanye West has, I don't know. He's been saying a lot of things and doing a lot of interviews that are really making me see him in a different light. And this started years ago, but it just seems to be getting worse. So he's been going around professing his love for Hitler and wearing Yahtzee symbols and encouraging people to wear Yahtzee symbols. And he recently did an interview with DJ Academics where he was wearing attire there that you typically would not see somebody wearing that is a person of color. And, I'm not exactly sure what Kanye West is going for. I don't know if he's having a mental breakdown or if this is just who he is right now. I really cannot tell if this is all an act or if he's going through some things or if this is just reflective of what he really believes. But he's been having some drama with his ex-wife Kim Kardashian. They do share 4 children together, and she was trying to get a song that he released that had Northwest on the track, their oldest daughter, and it also included Diddy and his son Christian Combs, as well as a Chicago area rapper. I believe the name is Jasmine. Well, she did not want that song released because of who was on there. Maybe not related to the Chicago rapper, but definitely related to the fact that Diddy was on there. She did not want her daughter on that song. Emergency arbitration meeting. And then Kanye had agreed not to release the song, and then he did it anyway on X. And there's been some other stuff that's gone on between them. I guess Kanye wanted to have his daughter North around some questionable people. I believe it's the Tate brothers, but don't quote me. And they have a history there that wasn't good. So Kim did not want North over there. So I believe that did not end up happening. But there's been talk that she may be considering trying to get full custody of the kids from everything that's been going on with Kanye here. And he did an interview with DJ Academics, and one of the things he talked about really surprised me. So we're going to go into that, and I'm referencing TMZ on here. And it's saying it's hard to be shocked by anything Kanye West says these days, but he still made some jaw-dropping statements about his ex, Kim Kardashian, during his recent interview with DJ Academics. Here's the deal. The rapper, who wore a black KKK robe with a pointed hood, gave mostly rambling responses to Academics during the hour-plus question and answer, which dropped on Sunday, which is this past Sunday here. At one point, Academics asked Ye about Kim and their 4 children, and things took a stunning turn. If you can believe that with him, I'm always shocked that there's anything more that Kanye can say that surprises us, because I always feel like he's bottomed out and then he just goes a little bit lower. So I don't know how he keeps managing to find these levels, but he does. And Academics pointed out Ye is always griping about his ugly co-parenting situation with Kim, who he accuses of controlling their 4 black children, North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm. The podcaster then said people think Ye doesn't take responsibility for his own choices, and Ye's soured and highlighted Ye's sour relationship with Kim. Ye agreed before making his astonishing claims. He said, "That was my fault. I didn't want to have children with this person after the first 2 months of being with her, but that wasn't God's plan." Wow. So, that's pretty. I don't know how to take that because I remember, and let me know in the chat. Do you remember when Kanye West was running for president? I want to say this was back in 2020, which was just an odd time to begin with, and he was running under the birthday party, if I remember correctly. But back when he was running to be president of the United States. Can't believe that actually happened, but it did. Back when he was running for that, he talked about how he initially didn't want Kim to keep the baby, and she ended up making a different decision. And he was happy about that. And then he talked about how his dad did not want his mom to keep the baby, and she made a different decision. And then he's crying about how, he almost didn't, have his daughter and, for what he initially wanted to take place. So, I'm kind of surprised years later to hear him say he didn't want to have kids with her because maybe the first one you could say, okay, you didn't know, maybe that was not planned, but you had three more after that. So to say you didn't want to have kids with this person and then you went on to have not one, not two, not three, but a total of four children with them, and then you want to say you didn't want to have kids, to me, it does not make sense. And I just feel like that's after thought that you're saying that right now, but if that's truly how you felt, why would you have three more children with this person? Because I watched the show. I watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I haven't watched really their Hulu show, but I definitely watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians when it was on E Network, and I was on that show like all the time because I was really into watching them and I enjoyed them at the time. And he did not give off vibes that he was not happy to be with Kim, and he did not give off energy that he was not interested in having kids with her. So it's to me very sad because your kids will see this. They will, if North isn't already looking at this stuff online, they'll find it because things live forever this way. And I think that's just really sad to see. You don't wanna see your parents kinda going at each other like this, and you definitely don't wanna hear that. So I just felt like that was maybe something he coulda kept to himself. It just did not need to be said, but nonetheless, he said it. And, during the interview with academics, Kanye also defended his widely condemned social media post questioning the mental capacity of Jay-Z and Beyonce's kids. Which another one that was just totally unnecessary. Why are you talking about children? If you have an issue with their parents, that's one thing, but you should not be bringing in people's children or questioning whether or not they have the mental capacity here that you believe they should have because there's really no proof to support his claim of what he is trying to state is going on with Beyonce and Jay-Z's two younger children of being the R word. Can't really use that on here. But he still made that statement nonetheless, which is wild because he hasn't really been friends with Jay-Z, at least publicly. They have not been friends like that for a very long time. So to even go there made no sense to me. It just came out of left field. But so does a lot of things that he is doing. So let me know what you think about that. Do you think it was okay that Kanye made the comments about not wanting to have kids with Kim, or do you think that crossed the line? Let me know. I'm definitely curious to get your thoughts on that because to me, I felt like that crossed a line here. That was just unnecessary, but so is a lot of other things that he's doing here. And I'm honestly curious to know when the bottom falls out for Kanye, like when he just hits the point that people are going to stop reporting on it, stop wanting to hear from him, or just giving him a platform to share his types of thoughts. And really, sometimes it boils down to hate, in my personal opinion. So let me know your thoughts. I'm curious to see, do you even listen to Kanye music? Do you still follow Kanye or you don't care? Let's keep that conversation going. And if you're here on the live, let me know if you are part of the Aries crew by saying hashtag Aries crew, or if you are a first time watcher, let me know that in the comments as well. And don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel here. Now let's talk about Young Scooter. Let me know if you are familiar with Young Scooter. It's my understanding he is an ATL rapper. I'm personally not familiar, but if you know him, let me know in the comments if you are familiar with him. So we're reading this story here. Young Scooter passed away. So he sustained a leg injury while he was running away from cops. And that leg injury ultimately led to him losing his life. And there was a 911 call that led to the police coming out there, that then led to the chase here. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So this is from the TMZ website. Young Scooter died last week on his 39th birthday, fleeing from cops. And now we have more insight as to why. So that is terrible. He passed away on his 39th birthday. So on the day of his birthday, I can't think of a worse way to spend your birthday. Let's kind of see how these events spiraled out of control here through a very suspicious 911 call. Ooh, that's not good. All right. So it says today, Atlanta, which was from March 31st. So it's past that time now. But today, Atlanta police released the audio that summoned them to William Nye Drive on Friday, where an unnamed woman made several disturbing claims about what she observed outside the residence. The female caller told cops she witnessed a naked woman being dragged out of the house in a dispute over rugs. And that's rugs with a D in front here, but follow me, we're on YouTube here. Saying the unclothed woman eventually called more men over to pow the place up. The caller, claiming to be the neighborhood watch, okay, that's interesting, added she had long suspected the residence was a staging ground for either a rug dealing or, let's see, ring where people are used to do adult interactions, and urged officers to hurry because the woman was bleeding profusely from her head while being held hostage. So that kind of makes sense why the police felt a need of urgency. If I got a call with that kind of information being provided, I would think that there's an active crime going on here that needs to be addressed. So let's see what goes on next. There was also supposedly a child in danger, but when Atlanta police rushed to the scene, they encountered none of that. Okay, and that's not good because that's quite a bit of allegation. So to go there and not see any of that, it's a little bit strange here. Not only someone who slammed the door in the officers' faces when only someone who slammed the door in officers' faces when they approached the front. It was then young Scooter, likely clueless to the 911 dispatch, fled from the back of the residence with another man, only to tear a femoral artery by jumping a fence as cops gave chase. So don't ask me where the femoral artery is, but I do know that if you hit a major artery, wherever it may be in your body, there's a lot of blood that goes there and you can bleed out if that is not stopped. So if he was actively running and his body is pumping blood to keep him going, he was probably losing a lot of blood just from continuing to run. Officers never discovered a woman bleeding profusely, and Scooter eventually succumbed to his injuries at the Grady Marcus Trauma Center later that night. Scooter's death sent shockwaves through the hip hop community, and police are actively looking for the woman who made the bogus 911 call. That is crazy. If you just completely made up that story, and then not only that, that led to officers responding, so you're wasting officers' time without telling a truthful story. And then two, they go out there to respond, and then somebody is not being responsive to them after they were called out there for help. And then on top of that, somebody who was there, probably running just because the police were there, that he may not even have done anything wrong. Why he ran, I couldn't answer that for you, and unfortunately, he's not with us to explain why he ran. But nonetheless, he made that choice, and because of that, he lost his life. Let me know if you think the person who made the bogus call should be charged because he ended up passing away and wasted the officer's time there. So we got a little bit more information since that was posted, and this is from today, April 1st here. And it says 911 squatter ID'd as Zeus Baddie switches her story all the way up. So let's see what's going on with that here. Update: Atlanta police and Fullerton County medical examiner just released young Scooter's autopsy results. Oh, they don't mess around, so they got that done quick. Listing his death as an accident, putting to bed the narrative young thug pushed that his friend was shot. So it appears there were no shots fired, or at least there were no shots fired at young Scooter that caused his demise. It came from the injury to his leg. Per the ME medical examiner, Scooter suffered an injury to his right thigh. Ooh, okay. From the wooden fence he climbed during the chase. So I don't know if the wooden fence was jagged or how he cut it, or if it was just, too close and he didn't jump over it high enough there that caused this injury. The woman who made the 911 call that led to the police altercation that eventually ended rapper Young Scooter's life is stepping forward with her side of the story, and it's such a completely different one than the one she told Atlanta Emergency Services. That's kind of concerning. And let's go. So Demi Blanco, a reality star, a reality star contestant on the Zeus Network. Let me know if you're familiar with the name Demi Blanco. Do you watch the Zeus Network? Do you know this person? Looks like she's on the Zeus Network series Baddies. Went live on Instagram Tuesday and claimed she was being treated unfairly by social media users angry over Scooter's death because they didn't know the whole side of the story. Demi claims she called 911 to protect herself. So she said she did call 911. Okay. A total contradiction of the call she made on March 28th when she urged cops to come stop a naked woman from being beaten outside an Atlanta home. She goes on to clarify that she's a woman and claims she was abused multiple times. Atlanta PD did not find any evidence to match Demi's descriptions, but they encountered Scooter and another man just before the late rapper made a run for it and ripped an artery by hopping a fence. Police are adamant they didn't fire any shots at Scooter, but Young Thug is currently calling them a liar in the wake of Demi's latest testimony. Thug is blaming Atlanta Police Department gang investigator Marisa Beverito for allegedly covering up the details of Scooter's death. It's unclear if Beverito is part of the current investigation, but she did testify in Thug's YSL case, where Scooter also sat in the courtroom for support. So she has a bone to pick regardless. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation has been looking to speak with Demi, and now that they have a name and a face, it can only be a matter of time. So we'll see how that goes. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out on that story because we want to see where that one goes, because that's really sad. Again, I'm not familiar with that rapper, but still, to lose your life on your birthday and in a manner that appears to have been under false pretenses that the cops are called there anyway. I definitely want to know more about why Demi made that call, why the story has switched, and see what comes from this, because I hope somebody is charged in the fact that this person lost their life, and they lost their life on their birthday, probably for a very pointless reason. But let me know your thoughts on this as well. And looks like on the political frontier, could be looking at 25% tariffs starting either on the 2nd or the 3rd of April. I know President Trump said not April 1st because they're going to think it's an April Fool's thing. But it could either be starting on the 2nd or the 3rd. And I'm not sure if it's going to extend over to auto parts as well, but a 25% tariff on all foreign cars. So if you have not bought a car yet and you are looking to buy a car, if it is a foreign car, be prepared that you may have to pay more than you were initially going to be needing to pay because of these tariffs. So we'll see if they actually do go into effect. I haven't really seen too much on, although I have heard some talk on that, but I am following that as well. So keep an eye out on the page. We'll talk about that if they do go into effect tomorrow or on April 3rd as well. It's going to be a rough year. It doesn't look like inflation's going to be going down anytime soon, and the cost of things are going up, and they really haven't dropped. I was looking at the cost of eggs, and it's like $10 now. I just can't even believe in my lifetime I'm seeing eggs cost so much. They used to be really reasonable. So they're saying part of that is due to, I want to say, like an flu with the birds, that they may, just not be producing as much to make sure that what you are getting is healthy for human consumption. So I think that is still possibly the case of what's going on with the eggs being as high, but it's not just eggs that have gone up, it's the cost of everything. So we're definitely going to be feeling some pain in the wallet, pain in the pocket for a while. Save your money as best you can. Try and reduce your expenses as much as you can and just ride the wave, because it just doesn't look like things are going to get better before, they get worse. So it looks like they're just going to get a little bit worse first, and we'll see how it goes. Have you guys been seeing the Tesla protests that have been going on? So there's been protests at Tesla dealerships, and there's also been some vandalism that's been taking place to Teslas. So I've been seeing reports on that. It looks like that may be in response to Elon Musk and everything that he's been doing as it relates to DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. That's not a real department that Elon Musk isn't the head of, but he is the head of, depending on who you talk to and what day you talk to him. But leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. And, a lot of federal workers have been impacted by the decisions that have been made, whether that be by him, AI, or whatever they're consulting to figure out what's considered waste, fraud, and abuse. And I'm still waiting to see the actual waste, fraud, and abuse that they're saying that they're finding, because it's just really unfortunate that all of this is happening, and there's not really been anything that's shown as to what waste, fraud, and abuse they're finding, or who these culprits are that were doing, waste, fraud, and abuse with federal money. So I'm just questioning if that's what they're really finding, or if they're just using that as an excuse for downsizing, because they want to reduce the deficit. But I'm definitely curious to hear your thoughts on it if you follow that. If you are a government worker who's been impacted by the layoffs, definitely want to hear from you as well. So it's going to wrap up our show for tonight. We will be back on live tomorrow. So if you have not already done so, please like the video. Would really appreciate that. It'll help get this out to more faces. You can share this out with family and friends. We'd love to have you a part of the Aries crew. So if you are still on the live here, why don't you just join us? We have fun over here. All you got to do is hit that subscription button. And then make sure you hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, post shorts, and post on the community page. We are going to be doing a live on The Woman in the Yard. I did have an opportunity to see that movie, and I really liked it. So there's some things that I want to unpack with you guys. So stay tuned for that. I wanted to talk about it today, but I want to get to these topics first. So we'll dedicate a live just to The Woman in the Yard, so we can kind of go through all the things that I found interesting, things that maybe had a double meaning, and how I interpreted it. And I'm curious to see how you interpreted it. So if you watch that movie, stay tuned for that live. I'd love to have you on there. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the support. We're trying to reach 1,800 subscribers by the summer. So you can help by sending this live out to family and friends. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for stopping by, and take care.